Hey, fifth graders, this is a Google Slides activity that you all are going to be completing today for science. This is the directions. After you watch the directions, you'll go to the Google slide. You'll complete those slides and then you will submit it. All right, so it starts out with some words you need to know: inherited, given to you by your family; trait, special qualities a person or animal has; learned, something you've picked up or mastered; and behaviors, natural actions, things you do. All right, after you carefully read that, you're going to go to the next slide, and then you're going to look at each of these definitions and then pick the vocabulary word that would go with it. For example, special qualities that a person or animal has. Well, I know that is a trait, and so I would click on it, drag it, and drop it up there, and then do the same with the others. On the next slide, you have a trait, whether it's you would call something a trait or a behavior. Now, boys and girls, in our coach book, we call this a inherited trait, and behaviors, we call those, if you look down here at the bottom, we call those acquired traits. So a learned behavior could also be called an acquired trait. So carefully look at each of those parts of the definition and use those to complete the next slide. Okay, in this slide, you might not see all the terms, but these can all be picked up and dragged over here and put into the correct box. And you're going to have to squeeze them all in here. And so you're going to look and find what things are traits, learned, not born with it, and then what things are behaviors, things that you learned. Okay, so if something is a thing that you do, you can put that in behaviors. Okay, so each of these, you can pick them up and drag them and put them in the box that you need to in order to complete those. All right, and you can refer back to the previous slide to help you put all those in the right place. Okay, on the next slide, it's talking about all the traits that you would find both in animals and in plants. So both animals and plants have traits. You're going to carefully read through those, and then you'll see some visual examples of those on the next few slides. So you've got some great pictures here to look at for examples of animal traits like eye color, skin color, eye shape. Then you're going to go on to the next slide to see more of those animal traits. And then some different traits that plants can have, and more of those traits of plants. And then once you get to this slide 11, you're going to look at all of these different traits over here, and you're going to decide whether those would be considered an animal trait or a plant trait. Now remember, animals include humans. Okay, so the plants would be those things that do photosynthesis, and then animals are going to be all those things that have to eat plants or other animals in order to survive. All right, so you're going to organize those into each of those categories. Okay, on slide 12, you're going to see some of the learned behaviors or inherited behaviors that are exhibited by animals. And so you're going to carefully read through all of these, remembering that a learned behavior can also be called an acquired trait. So if a dog is learning to fetch, we might say, oh, that's a behavior that he learned. But if someone has a scar, you might say, oh, that's an acquired trait. But they basically mean the same thing. All right, and then you're going to have several slides that give you a picture of what inherited behaviors are. You're going to look through each of those, and then some of those inherited behaviors. I know we talked about rolling your tongue was an inherited behavior. And then all the way through some learned behaviors. All right, and then at the very end, again, you're going to have a sorting activity where all of those different examples need to be sorted out as to whether they are a learned behavior or an inherited behavior. All right, so we know scars, we're going to drag and drop, and we'll say that's a learned behavior or an acquired trait. Learned behavior and acquired trait are referring to the same thing. Okay, boys and girls, good luck on this activity, and don't forget to submit it after you have completed it. All right, have a good one.